I need a beauty YouTuber to come to my house and explain lighting to me because every time I try to do a setup or do something slightly differently, can you even see? I look like a human being now, but this could change literally every second. Hi, everyone. My name is Lindsay. I am the data coach. Today, we're going to talk about how to write one question 6 different ways. My goal is to show you the different question types available to you when creating a survey in Google Forms, SurveyMonkey, whatever it is that you're using, along with their pros and cons, so you can make informed decisions based on your project goals, objectives, and timelines. If you are new here, hi, welcome. The mission of the Data Coach is to help nonprofit organizations better organize, analyze, and use their data to achieve their missions. One of the ways that we do that is by providing free education and training here on our YouTube channel. So if you find this content helpful, please subscribe to join this growing community. Okay, let's imagine this scenario. You are the director of a new financial education program, and you just wrapped up your first year of implementation. You want to send out a survey to see what your participants thought about the program and how you can improve for next year. You have your questions ready, but when it's time to enter everything into your survey program, your question options are a little bit overwhelming. Does it really matter if something is a multiple choice versus a checkbox versus an open-ended? Yeah, it can. So let's break down some of the common question types and when you might use each of them. The basic question we're going to work with is, which of the topics in our workshop were most helpful for you? The first question type is our multiple choice, a classic. It looks like this. Which topic from our workshop was most helpful for you? Creating a budget, understanding credit and debit, setting financial goals, or making investments. Now, the beauty of a multiple choice question is its simplicity. Survey takers provide you with one answer and one answer only, and that makes your analysis really straightforward, and typically you'll have a pretty clear winner at the close of your survey. The downside is that some people may have a clear favorite, but others might have a top 2, or maybe somebody thought that all the topics were equally helpful in their own way. By limiting people to just one answer option, you don't get the full picture of their experience. You might miss out on giving yourself even more credit for the great work that you did on this program. Second option is our checkbox. Which of the topics were most helpful for you? Choose all that apply, and you can see all of our options here. A checkbox question allows people to quickly choose more than one option. This question type can be great because it allows people to share all of the things that they found the most helpful, the least helpful, the biggest priorities, their least favorite things about the gala, whatever your question is. You can get a fuller picture of people's thoughts and experiences when you give them more flexibility in answer options. However, giving people more options does make the analysis a little more complicated. We won't really know if all the topics chosen were equally helpful or if one was more helpful than the others. So if that's something that's important to you, a checkbox may not be the right fit. And in this example, we run the risk of what's called a social desirability bias. That happens when people give us the answers that they think we want to hear. So if a participant really likes their instructor, or they really like you, the director, or the organization, they might choose all of the topics in this question because they want to make you or the organization happy, not because that's how they really felt about all the topics in the workshop. We can remedy this by limiting the number of choices a bit, so maybe choose 2 instead of choose all that apply. But it's something to be mindful of when we're selecting our question types. We don't want to choose things that might unintentionally sway people to give us different answers than they would otherwise. The third option is our ranking question. So that looks like this. Please rank the following topics from the most helpful, 1, to the least helpful, 4. Now, a ranking question can give us really valuable feedback if we're interested in comparisons among topics. In this case, it allows our survey taker to consider all the options, compare them to each other, and create this order of favorability. something we couldn't do with our checkbox option. There is a little more complexity to the analysis, and ranking questions aren't appropriate for all topics. Also, if you use this type of question, you'll want to limit the number of topics or items you want people to rank. A list of 5 is much easier to order than a list of 25. Yes, I have seen surveys with 25 topics to rank. Please don't do it. But when it comes to asking about likes, dislikes, priorities, the ranking question can be a great option to capturing even more nuance and details of people's perspectives. Fourth option, Likert scale. Likert scale questions ask survey takers to judge individual options or topics across a 5-point scale, though sometimes you'll see more than 5. Think of rating a restaurant's food on Yelp based on the 5-star system. In this case, Likert scale questions might look something like this. On a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the least helpful and 5 being the most helpful, how would you rate each of these curriculum topics? This is a nice option if you care less about ranking a set of subjects against each other, but want to know what survey takers thought about individual topics or issues or experiences. Now, one of the critiques of a Likert scale question is that one person's 3 might be another person's 4. I generally don't worry too much about that, especially if there are a lot of people responding to the survey. It's something you might want to know in a final report. Also, some advice. If you are going to use this question type, please do so sparingly. I've seen entire surveys that are only Likert scale questions, and they are very boring and annoying to take. When people are bored, they are annoyed, or pressed for time, they are more likely to rush through their responses or just skip questions entirely. And that can be bad for our data quality, so be judicious if you're choosing this question type. Fifth option is the matrix question. Unfortunately, this is not Keanu Reeves reading your survey questions aloud in his Neo voice. A matrix question looks like this. Please share how helpful you found each of the financial education topics in the table below. Matrix questions can provide you with a wealth of insight about what people think about a set of related topics. You'll be able to easily what people thought each topic is quickly compared to the others. It's also a nice visual break for survey takers. Seeing a table after so many multiple choice or checkbox questions can help refocus their attention and help them engage with your survey in a different way. Downsides, similar to ranking questions, don't use this question type if you have a lot of topics you want to cover. People will get bored after a while. Seeing a list of 10, 15, 20 options to judge in this table can be overwhelming visually, causing them to either skip the questions or rush through the responses and potentially making mistakes along the way. When we're choosing our question types, we want to make sure we're doing as much as we can to help people avoid giving us the wrong info or not telling us anything. And then finally, the open-ended question, where we allow people to say whatever they want, however they want, that may or may not be on topic. Here's an example. Which topics are most helpful for you and why? I thought that creating a budget was the most helpful because no one has ever taught me how to do that before, and it was much easier than I thought it was going to be. Now, the reason so many nonprofits love open-ended questions is because they can be really rich in detail and allow our survey takers to explain why they think and feel the way they do. The why is incredibly important when it comes time to make informed decisions about program changes, design, outreach, communication strategies, and structure. And as someone who loves qualitative data, it's even hard for me to say no to an open-ended question on a survey. But there are a few things that can go wrong here. One, there can be a lot of variations in response length. Some people will give 2-word answers that don't help you very much. Other people will write novels. The approach to the analysis. There is an art and science to analyzing qualitative data that is fundamentally different than analyzing numbers. If there's no one on staff that has this background, it's something that's really difficult to do. And then the third issue is time. Open-ended responses take a lot more time to sort, to read through, and analyze. If you and your team have the time to do this, fantastic. But if not, these may not be the best question options for you. What I would say is use your open ended questions strategically and sparingly if you use them at all. You can always start your project with a survey. And if you need more information, you need more detail, you can reach out to people for a quick follow up interview. So that's it. One question, 6 ways. In general, you want to use a variety of question options to keep your survey takers interested and engaged, while also choosing the question types that meet your research needs, analysis skill level, and of course, your project timelines. If you have any questions about survey questions, leave them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you and help you out. And thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.